Welcome to Basic Election Judge Training. This presentation covers the basics of serving as an election judge. This, along with other training resources provided by your city, will help prepare you to serve on Election Day.
On behalf of your city clerk and the voters of your city, thank you for serving as an election judge. You're providing an important service and playing a key role in ensuring transparent and honest elections in Minnesota. This training video provides an overview of your duties and responsibilities as an election judge. Your election judge guide will have the details needed to perform each task. Here's what election judges can expect on Election Day. Plan on arriving at 6 a.m. to your assigned polling place. Election judges have many tasks to complete before opening the polling place at 7 a.m. Election judges take an oath to be fair and impartial. Your job is to follow the laws as written, not how you think they should be. On Election Day, leave your opinions at home. Carefully avoid any action that might influence how a person votes. You will be busy. Election Day is a long one. You will get breaks during the day. It is a good idea to plan your meals, remember your reading glasses and medications, and provide for any family needs. And remember to vote. Vote by absentee ballot before Election Day. Or if you are working in your home precinct, vote during a break.
Providing good voter service is critical. We need to make sure voters feel welcome, supported, and respected as they participate in the voting process. You must conduct yourself in a professional and appropriate manner. Remember, while working as an election judge, you represent your city. Be courteous to everyone you interact with on Election Day, voters and your fellow election judges alike. If you encounter language differences, be patient and respectful as you help the voter. Utilize help from multilingual judges in your precinct, or use the translation phone line provided for you on Election Day. Keep in mind the Platinum Rule. Treat others the way they want to be treated. Folks bring a variety of life experiences with them when they come to vote, and it is important to be mindful of them. For example, a voter may come in who has memories of past experiences working with government that were negative, or with their alarm on high because of a previous injustice. When responding to a voter's questions or concerns, be sure to do so in a positive manner using words that are factual, not emotional or confrontational. Speak of what can be done rather than what cannot be done. Lastly, you must maintain political neutrality as you conduct your duties. Before Election Day, be sure to spend time reviewing any training materials you receive from your city and reach out to your city with any questions you may have. Don't feel like you need to know all of the answers, especially if this is your first time serving as an election judge. But do try to have a good idea of where to find the answer to a question you have. Bring your training materials with you on Election Day to refer to as needed, and know that you've always got the support of your fellow election judges and your city. Before we continue, let's talk about a concept known as party balance. Understanding party balance will be valuable for following along with this training. In the polling place, certain tasks are required by law to be completed by judges of different major political parties. State law defines how parties qualify as a major political party. A party's status may change from year to year. State law allows individuals not affiliated with any major political parties to be election judges. High school students, ages 16 and older, are allowed to serve as student election judges. Students do not declare affiliation to a political party. Party balance is required for specific tasks, such as giving assistance to voters when marking a ballot, duplicating ballots, emptying the ballot box during voting hours, assisting a voter with curbside voting, and assisting a voter with a ballot marking error. These activities must be completed by two judges of different major political parties. Election judges working full day or morning shifts should arrive at the polling place by 6 a.m. All judges must take the oath and sign the official precinct certification form. The head judge assigns duties for setup and opening the polls.
The two blue sample ballots should be posted at two different heights, lower for those in a wheelchair and higher for standing voters. A precinct map will be provided and should be posted as well. The various signs, posters, and maps in your supply box that are in the required signs folder must be posted. Verify that the Vote Here sign has been placed at the entrance to your polling place. Verify the U.S. flag is outside the main entrance to the building that leads to the room where voting takes place. Place the voting hours sign on the door of the entrance to the polling place building. When setting up the polling place, verify that all materials are for your precinct, such as the ballots, ballot counter, poll books, and sample ballots. 2 judges verify that the number of ballot packages agree with the number shown on the ballot tracking form. As ballot packages are opened, 2 judges are required to count the number of ballots contained in the package. Record the quantity of the ballots in the packages on the ballot tracking form. 2 judges should initial a supply of ballots to be ready when the polls open.
Election judges are responsible for accurate documentation, completion of forms, and reporting details of activities in the polling place. We work together as a team to achieve excellence in election documentation. Before Election Day, your city clerk records important precinct information on Election Day forms. The forms are sent to each polling place for judges to document information about their precinct. These forms are used by the election judges throughout the day. The official precinct certification form is required to document the Election Day process from beginning to end. All judges must affirm the oath by signing the form before beginning polling place setup. This form is also used to certify the seal numbers on the voting equipment are correct and to confirm the number of ballot packages delivered to the precinct. The ballot tracking form is used to confirm ballot quantities delivered to the polling place. Election judges are required to count and record the number of ballots in each package as they are opened. 2 judges initial a supply of ballots before the polls open. After the polls close, the precinct judges must complete the election night ballot audit portion of this form. The Election Day incident log is used to record concerns, questions, and events.
I need you to take an oath. He refused to do the challenge process.
The head judge must document these events in detail, along with a resolution on the Election Day incident log. The voter statistics worksheet is used after the polls are closed to record information from other completed Election Day forms. This reconciliation process will determine that the number of persons voting in the precinct matches the total number recorded by the ballot counter. The head judge ensures that all paperwork is placed in the appropriate envelope or folder for return to election headquarters. Head judges bring completed forms and voted ballots to election headquarters. Election staff will review the completed paperwork with the judges and ensure forms have been completed properly.
The polling place will have poll books, the ballot counter, and the ballot marking device, plus numerous voting stations to set up. You may be asked to assist the head judge or equipment specialist with equipment setup. Remember that up to 10 voting booths can be plugged into one another before plugging the last booth into an electrical outlet. Our poll books have been upgraded. The changes you will notice include new iPads with built-in, secure cellular service, which means we no longer need a hotspot to connect to the elections office. The poll book now has a stand base instead of a battery base, and a longer charging cord has been included to plug the poll book into a power strip or outlet. Overall, the functionality of the poll book will be the same for election judges who are already familiar with the poll book. Setting up the poll book. Open the poll book carrying case and remove the printer, adapter, and power cords. Verify the numbers match on the printer, poll book, and case. Verify that the on-off switch located on the left side of the printer is in the off position before setting it up. Connect the power cord to the transformer box. Plug the connector into the back of the printer. Plug the printer into a wall outlet or power strip. Turn on the printer. Watch for the green power light on the front panel. Use the safety tape provided to bundle and tape down cords to prevent voters and election judges from tripping over them. Next, set up the poll book. Place the poll book face down on a flat surface with the ID holder to the right. Take the stand arm, squeeze the green buttons on the side of the stand arm, and place it in the circular opening on the back of the poll book. Release the buttons and turn the arm slightly until you hear a click. Slide the ID holder into place on the back of the poll book. Place the stand arm in the poll book base. Locate the green power cord and plug it into the poll book by the home button. Weave the cord from behind through the stand arm and plug it into the white charging block. Plug this into the outlet. Place the stylus in the ID tray. If it's not already on, turn on the poll book by pressing and holding the power button on the left side of the iPad. On the screen, check the accuracy of the polling location, verify that the 7 a.m. precinct records number is correct, verify that the check-in count is 0, verify that the lightning symbol indicating that the iPad is plugged in and charging appears, check to make sure that the election name and date are correct, and verify that the printer and cloud icons are both green. Press the green printer icon and select Test Print. A sample receipt will print. Press Get Started. Now the poll book is ready for helping voters.
Here's how to open the ballot counter. First, carefully move the ballot box, pushing it diagonally to its proper location in the polling room. Lock at least one wheel on the ballot box. Using the silver key, unlock and open the 2 doors on the front of the ballot box. Remove the contents from the compartments. Before closing the auxiliary door, verify the silver plate is covering the ballot entry opening on the auxiliary compartment. Close and lock the door. Close and lock the lower ballot compartment door. Move to the back of the ballot box. Unlock and open the back door of the clamshell case using the silver key. Leave the door open until closing the polls. Remove the power cord, taking care not to dislodge the small black box in this compartment. Plug the cord into a power strip or outlet. Move to the front of the ballot box. Using the silver key, unlock the clamshell case cover. Unsnap and lift the latches of the case. Hydraulic lifts automatically raise the cover. Using the barrel key, unlock the front edge of the ballot counter. Lift the ballot counter screen to the vertical position. Wait for the counter to beep, indicating it is powering up. The powering up process takes several minutes to complete. Using the barrel key, unlock and open the memory stick access compartment. Leave this compartment open during setup. Verify the seal number matches the seal number listed on the official precinct certification form. After power-up is complete, enter the election code and press Accept on the ballot counter screen. Have another judge watch as you enter the code to ensure accuracy. You have 3 attempts before being locked out. If you get locked out, contact election headquarters. After the code is entered, the configuration report prints automatically. Once the report has finished printing, press Open Poll. A ballot status accounting report and a zeros tape will automatically print. Do not tear these off. Compare the zeros tape to an official ballot. Verify all offices and candidate names are on the tape. Candidate names on the ballot and tape must be in the same order. Verify that all vote totals are 0. After verifying everything matches, press the blue lever inside the memory stick compartment to release the printer door. Lift the printer door open. Neatly roll up the tape and place inside this compartment. Do not tear off the tape. Press down firmly on the printer door. Listen for the door to snap into place. Using the barrel key, close and lock the memory stick access door. Remove the keys and keep in a safe place during Election Day. Press Go to Voting Mode on the screen. Verify the public counter is 0. Remember, the protected count is like an odometer on a car and will display a number. The screen will now read, "Welcome. Please insert your ballot." The ballot counter is now ready for voting.
The OmniBallot tablet is a ballot marking device that has replaced the AutoMark. The ballot marking device does not count ballots. It has the ability to assist voters in marking their ballot through the use of its touchscreen, navigational accessories, and by reading the voter their ballot and selections through headphones. Here's how to set up the ballot marking device on Election Day. Remove the bungee cords attaching the gray case to the printer case. Place the gray case on the table. Open the printer case and gently remove the top foam padding. Remove the printer from the printer case and place it on the table. Remove the accessories from the printer case and place them neatly on the table. Find the power cord with the socket that matches the power port on the back of the printer and plug the printer into power. Unlatch the gray case and open the lid. Gently tilt the screen forward and rest the edge of the gray case lid on top of the screen. Using one of the gold keys, unlock and open the USB hub compartment and gently pull the USB hub out a little way so that it is accessible. Be careful not to grab onto any other cords inside the compartment when doing this. Plug the printer USB cable into the USB hub. Plug the other end of the printer USB cable into the top port on the back of the printer. Plug the navigation pad into the USB hub and place the navigation pad next to the ballot marking device. Plug in the headphones. Open the power port on the back of the gray case and plug the ballot marking device into power. Once plugged into power, the ballot marking device will turn on automatically. Before logging in, let's take care of a few other setup steps first. Gently unfold the multi-purpose tray on the front of the printer and then press the power button to turn it on. Place the USB hub back into its compartment and then close and lock the compartment. Log in using the credentials provided to you by your city or school district. Verify the election information is correct, and then select Go to Voting. If the election information is not correct, contact your city or school district. Place any accessories not in use back into the printer case or in another location designated by your head judge. You will want to keep the 3-button device easily accessible in the event a voter chooses to use this navigation option. Take the printer case to a location designated by your head judge. Place a chair near the table so that a voter can use it if needed, but not so that it would be in the way of a wheelchair. Then make sure any cords on the ground are neat and out of the way. For more details, please refer to the training materials provided to you by your city or school district. along with the other training videos in this series.
As an election judge, it is your responsibility to do everything possible to help each voter participate equally. Remember, before the polling place opens, review your voting room. Are all areas clear of obstacles? Do you have adequate signage to show handicap access? Have you practiced good cord management? Does this photo show good cord management? No. Always keep in mind the 3 core principles for effective polling place setup: access, traffic flow, and privacy. Election judges serve in various capacities and may expect to rotate duties throughout the day. The different judges' duties and responsibilities are detailed in this video. The types of judges are head judge, assistant head judge, greeter judge, poll book judges, demonstration judge, ballot judge, ballot counter judge. Let's review the duties for each.
Here is a quick overview of each of the duty stations in the polling place and how they are typically set up. Depending on the building you're in and the election, your setup may differ, but the basic path a voter takes through the polling place remains the same.
Head judges are polling place supervisors and receive special training. They assign duties to each judge and are the go-to person for any questions. The head judge handles unusual incidents, manages paperwork, and communicates with election headquarters throughout the day. Working with the ballot judge, the head judge monitors the supply of ballots. Support your head judge in their decisions. The head judges use the checklists to assure all procedures and forms are completed as required for their precinct. Use the incident log throughout the day to maintain a record of activity in the polling place. Make sure the entries are detailed and specific to maintain an accurate record.
The greeter judge station. The greeter judge is typically stationed near the entrance of the voting room to welcome voters and to determine whether they are registered in the precinct using the greeters list. The greeter judge also assists in managing how many voters are allowed into the voting room and monitors activities near the entrance of the polling place. Line management is critically important. Only allow as many voters into the room as can be efficiently helped by the election judges. The greeters list contains the names and addresses of all registered voters in the precinct and is used to verify if a voter is already registered to vote in the precinct. If a voter is not on the greeters list, check the precinct finder to determine that the voter is at their correct polling location. Lastly, the greeter judge directs voters to the next stop in the polling place, the poll book station.
Hi.
Hi, you here to vote today?
Yes, and I think I'm in the right precinct.
We'd love to hear that. Let's make sure you're in the right place. May I have your name and address, please?
It's Sammy Burke. I live at 1111 12th Avenue Southeast.
Here you are. Sammy, it looks like you're in the right place. Please head over to the poll book station and they'll get you checked in.
Okay, thanks.
This is a sample page from the greeters list. This is a list of all registered voters in the precinct. To use the greeters list, ask the voter for their name and then search for it by last name in column 2. Ask the voter for their address and look for that in column 3. If the voter's information appears in this list and their name and address are current, they are registered to vote in the precinct and may proceed to the poll book judge. If the voter's name or address has changed, they will need to update their registration and may need to be directed to a different precinct. If the voter's information does not appear in this list at all, they either need to register or are in the wrong precinct.
This is a sample page from the precinct finder. To determine if a voter is in the correct precinct, you locate the street name in the first column. The second column has address ranges. You locate which address range the address falls into. The third column indicates if the addresses in the range are for odd numbers, O, even numbers, E, or both odd and even numbers, B. The fourth column shows which precinct the address is located in. Your precinct finder will have a list on the front with all precinct polling locations and their addresses.
The next stop on a voter's path through the polling place is the poll book judge station. Poll book judges check in registered voters and help voters complete Election Day registration. Once a voter has been checked in or registered, a voter signature certificate or Election Day registration application is collected by the poll book judge, and a voter's receipt is issued to the voter. When collecting signature certificates and registration applications, place these face down in the appropriate containers. Voter signature certificates and Election Day registration applications are legal documents that print from the poll book printer and are reviewed and signed by the voter as part of the check-in and registration processes. A voter's receipt, which can be thought of as a voter's ticket for a ballot, also prints from the poll book printer and is given to the voter after the signed voter signature certificate or Election Day registration application is collected by the poll book judge. Checking in registered voters. Before a voter can be checked in and receive a voter's receipt, you must confirm that they are registered to vote in your precinct under their current name and address. If their answer matches what you see on your poll book screen, the voter can then be checked in. If you are unable to find a voter's record on your first search, select Advanced Search and look for them by their date of birth or address. There may be a typo in their record or in your search field which caused their record not to be found on your first try. Once you have verified their address, select the voter's record to pull up the voter confirmation screen. Turn the poll book screen towards the voter and ask them to confirm that all of their information looks correct before continuing the check-in process by pressing Accept and then Submit. Once you press Submit, the poll book printer will print a voter signature certificate and a voter's receipt. The voter signature certificate is a legal document. Ask the voter to sign it in order to confirm the voter's oath and that their information looks correct. Place the signed signature certificate face down in the bin at your station and give the voter their voter's receipt, which they will then take with them to the ballot station to receive their ballot.
Welcome. Would you please spell your first and last name for me?
It's Sammy Burke, Sammy Burke.
Let's look closer at the voter check-in steps. When looking for a voter's record on the search screen, type in the first three letters of a voter's first and last name before pressing search. This will narrow down your results enough to locate their record while limiting the risk of not being able to find their record due to a typo. Our search pulled up 2 voter registration records with similar names. At this point, ask the voter for their address so that you can be sure to select the correct record.
And your address, please.
It's 1111 12th Avenue Southeast.
If the voter's name and address matches what you see on your screen, you can turn the poll book around and ask the voter to verify their information.
Yep, it is.
Then, select Accept and Submit. Before handing them their voter's receipt, ask the voter to sign their signature certificate to affirm both the voter's oath and that their information is correct.
Thank you. And this is your voter's receipt, and you can take it to the ballot station right next door.
Okay, thank you.
If a voter is in the wrong precinct and needs directions to find their correct polling place, you can use the Precinct Finder function in the poll book to print them directions. In the top left-hand corner of the screen, select Menu, and then click on the Precinct Finder magnifying glass icon. On this screen, you will enter the voter's address. The poll book will then display the voter's polling place information with a map and directions. You can print the directions for the voter by pressing Print Location. In Minnesota, voters who were not registered to vote before Election Day can register to vote in their polling place. Before we teach you how to register a voter on the poll book, we will first review something called Proof of Residence. In order for a voter to register on Election Day, they must provide proof of residence. There are 3 major categories of proofs: photo ID with current name and address, photo ID with a document, and then Other, a broad category consisting of a variety of different kinds of proofs.
Voters may use the following valid identification documents if the document has the person's current name and current address in the precinct: a valid Minnesota driver's license, Minnesota learner's permit, or Minnesota ID card, a receipt for a Minnesota driver's license, learner's permit, or ID card, a tribal ID that also includes the voter's signature and picture. When presented a Minnesota license, look for a status check notation in the lower right-hand corner indicates the voter was not a citizen at the time they applied for the license. They may or may not have become a citizen since obtaining the license, permit, or ID. If they state they are eligible to vote, you or the head judge must follow the challenge procedures found on the duty card or in the election judge guide. Voters may also register using a combination of two documents as proof of residence. One document must be a photo ID with the voter's name. Acceptable photo IDs include driver's licenses, state IDs, or learner's permits from any state, Minnesota student IDs, tribal IDs, U.S. military IDs, U.S. passports, or veteran IDs. Photo IDs are used along with the current document. The documents, which may be either paper or electronic, must show the voter's current name and address in the precinct. Documents a voter may use to register on election day include residential lease or rental agreement, must be valid through election day, current student fee statement, bill, account, or start of service statement due or dated within 30 days of election for phone, television, or internet services, solid waste, electric, water, sewer, or gas, banking services or credit cards, rent or mortgage statements or receipts for payments. For bills delivered electronically, original means a printed copy of the electronic bill or a display of the bill on the voter's portable electronic device.
The final category includes a mixture of different kinds of proofs. The first is a voucher. More on vouching in a few minutes. Next is notice of late registration. A voter may have received one of these from Hennepin County if they registered to vote within 20 days of the election. This can be used by itself as proof with no additional documentation needed. Then we have valid registration in precinct. If a voter is already registered in the precinct, but they need to simply update their name or address, they may use the registration they already have as their proof. No additional documentation is required. Finally, a voter may also use their college student ID, which would then need to be matched with their name on a student housing list, if one was provided for your precinct. Vouching is a way for a person to attest to another person's eligibility to vote in the precinct. There are two kinds of vouchers: voter vouchers and employee vouchers. Voter vouchers are registered voters who live in the same precinct as the voter registering. Employee vouchers are employees of residential facilities at which the voter is currently residing. A voter voucher may be already registered or register on election day and vouch, as long as they haven't been vouched for. Election judges in the precinct who are also registered to vote in that precinct may serve as vouchers. To complete the vouching process, the poll book judge collects certain information from the voucher and enters that information into the poll book. Voter vouchers may vouch for up to 8 voters on election day. The poll book judge keeps track of how many people the person has vouched for using the precinct list of persons vouching form. Challengers may not vouch.
A staff person of a residential facility may vouch for an unlimited number of their residents. Residential facilities include nursing homes, veterans homes, developmental disability care facilities, shelters or temporary living facilities for homeless persons, battered women's shelters, and other types of licensed facilities. If a list is provided by your city clerk, it will be with your supplies. If no list is provided, a staff person can demonstrate their employment with an employee badge or a letter. After answering the necessary questions, the voucher signs the poll book for each voter for whom they are vouching. Do not record this type of voucher on the precinct list of persons vouching form.
Election day registration. Before registering a voter, you must first search for their record in at least 2 different ways. If you are unable to find a voter's record by searching with the first 3 letters of their first and last name, press the advanced search button to look for their record by their date of birth or their address. This ensures that you do not accidentally create a duplicate record for a pre-registered voter. If you are still unable to find the voter in the poll book, a register button will appear on the search screen. Before selecting register, be sure to ask the voter if they have proof of residence with them today. Use the informational handouts provided by your city to discuss the voter's options if they are unsure. Remember, there are several different ways for voters to provide proof of residence in Minnesota. Some methods include an ID and some do not. Some voters may involve a third person in the process to serve as their voucher. whereas other voters may provide you with a combination of a photo ID and a document to prove their residence. You aren't expected to memorize the processing steps for each kind of registration. Utilize the registration section of your election judge guide, as well as any other resources provided by your city whenever necessary. The voter's Election Day registration and voter signature certificate forms print together as one long tape. Ask the voter to verify all the information is correct before having them sign the tape in 2 places. Place the signed, folded tape into the container provided for Election Day registrations. Let's take a look at a typical registration process.
Welcome.
Hi, I'd like to register to vote today.
Well, let's see if you're in the database first. What is the first 3 letters of your last name?
It's D-R-A-R-A-C.
Okay. And the first 3 of your first?
Let
me do a search. Nothing came up, so let's do it this way. Could I have your address, please?
It's 1090 13th Avenue, and that's southeast.
All right, well, you're definitely in this precinct, so let's register you. All right. Do you have a current bill, ID?
Oh, I have a current driver's license. Yeah.
All right. Are you a U.S. citizen?
I am.
Are you going to be 18 years old on Election Day?
Yes, I will be.
And let me scan it. All right.
Let's take a closer look at the poll book screen. Near the top of the screen, beneath where it says voter address, you can see that we are on step 3 of 8 of the registration process. This screen is where many data entry errors occur. Take your time here to make sure everything is entered correctly. When entering the voter's address, less is more. Start by entering the voter's house or building number, then click into the street name field. In this field, only enter the first few characters of the street name. The poll book will then present you with a drop-down list of addresses to choose from. Select the correct address from the list, and the poll book will fill out the rest for you. Oh, don't forget to ask the voter if they have an apartment number too.
Do you have a unit or is it a house?
Oh, no, I live in a house. Yep.
On screen 4, we select the voter's identification type. There are 3 options to choose from. Select the one based on what the voter is able to provide. Either they have a Minnesota State ID card or driver's license, they do not have a Minnesota State ID card or driver's license, but can provide you with the last 4 digits of their Social Security number, or they do not have a Minnesota State ID, Minnesota driver's license, or a Social Security number. Rachel provided us with her driver's license, so we will select the first option. Because we scanned her ID, that number auto-populated. On screen 5, we select the proof of residence that the voter has provided us with. Be mindful that what you select from the first drop-down menu will determine which proof of residence options you can view. For example, if I select photo ID plus document with current name and address, that is how I'm able to see the different kinds of ID, as well as the different approved document types to choose from. If I select Other on that first drop-down menu, instead I can select from options such as Vouched for or Valid registration in the same precinct. Rachel's proof of residence is her ID with current name and address, so we will select that option, and then the Minnesota driver's license option in the second menu. Again, because we scanned her ID, this number auto-populated for us. We've made it to screen 6. Collecting the voter's previous registration information helps election administrators maintain accurate voter registration records. This page does not need to be filled out completely, but capturing a voter's previous name and address here is helpful.
Were you ever registered anywhere else?
Oh, you know what? I actually was, and it would be under my previous name of Conlon.
All right, so I'm going to have you take a look at this, verify the information is all correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
I'm going to give you your driver's license back.
Thank you.
Let's do this.
The voter's registration information and the voter signature certificate print together as one long tape. The voter must sign this tape in two places. Once to affirm the voter's oath and their information, and once more in the Election Day registration portion to affirm their eligibility.
You have a very good date.
To wrap up this section, here are a few key things to keep in mind. Since ID is not required to vote in Minnesota, do not ask a voter for their ID. If the voter needs to register to vote, instead ask them if they have proof of residence with them. If the voter is using a Minnesota state ID or driver's license as their proof of residence, you can scan it during registration by placing it in the ID tray, with the barcode on the back of the ID facing the poll book camera. This will save you some time during data entry. After you've finished registering a voter, make sure to return any proof of residence documents to them. To help reduce check-in and data entry errors, always turn the voter confirmation screen, when it appears during the check-in and registration processes, towards the voter so that they can verify accuracy of the information. Make sure that the voter signs their voter signature certificate slip in two places, including the Election Day registration portion at the bottom. Don't forget that on screen 5, where you select the voter's proof of residence type, the poll book will show you different options to choose from depending on what you have selected in the first drop-down menu. Lastly, remember that on the voter address screen, you almost always only need to enter data in two fields, the house number and the street name. By entering the house number and then typing in just the first character or two of the street name, the poll book will narrow down the possible addresses and present you with a drop-down menu to choose from. Selecting the voter's address from this drop-down menu instead of typing it in yourself not only saves you time, but it also ensures accuracy of the data. If your voter has a unit or apartment number, you will need to type that in yourself because the poll book cannot auto-populate that information. The demonstration judge is stationed near the ballot judge. Depending on how many election judges are serving in your precinct, these two stations may be combined.
As demonstration judge, you instruct each voter on the proper procedure for marking the ballot and the voting process. Use the demonstration ballots included in your supplies. Remain impartial as you work with voters. Never demonstrate using an official ballot. Inform the voters of the following. There cannot be any erasures or crossed out votes on the ballot. If an error is made in marking the ballot, ask for a new ballot. Take your ballot out of the secrecy folder before you insert your ballot into the ballot counter. Wait at the ballot counter for the flag and the thank you for voting screen before leaving. Then direct the voter to the ballot judge.
If there is not a demonstration station, the ballot station is the voter's next stop after the poll book station. Before issuing the voter a ballot, you must collect the voter's receipt that they received after checking in or registering. Be sure to number the voter's receipts consecutively as you receive them. For every 25 receipts that you collect, bundle them together and place them in the designated envelope. Keeping these receipts numbered accurately will save time when closing the polls. When providing the voter with their ballot and a pen, direct them to an unoccupied voting booth, the ballot marking device, or another writing surface as chosen by the voter. Be sure to offer the ballot marking device to all voters. We cannot assume who would benefit from using it. Secrecy folders must be available, but they are optional for the voter to use. Keep a stack of secrecy folders on the table in case a voter would like to use one. Depending on the layout of your polling place, the ballot station may be combined with the demonstration station. If so, use a sample ballot to provide the voter with the same ballot marking procedures you would have at the demonstration station. Here's what that looks like.
Hi, I'll take your receipt. Okay, this is what your ballot will look like. There's races on both sides for you to choose to vote in. Please completely fill in the oval using one of our ink pens or using our assistive ballot marker. If you do make an error, please bring it back and we'll issue a new ballot. You can vote in any one of the open booths over there, or you can use the table to mark your ballot.
Keeping an accurate tally of voters' receipts is very important. Take care when numbering each receipt. This will save you time when closing the polls. Your city will provide you with a way to keep voters' receipts organized as you collect them. Periodically, you'll place collected voters' receipts in the used voter receipts envelope. If a voter makes a mistake while marking their ballot, for instance, if they select the wrong candidate by mistake, they can return it to you for a replacement. When this occurs, have the voter place their original ballot into the spoiled ballot envelope. Then, issue the voter a blank ballot. When issuing the voter their ballot, offer them the ballot marking device as an option in addition to marking their ballot at a booth or table. If the voter chooses to use the ballot marking device, guide them to it and work with them to get them started. Place the voter's ballot into the printer, being careful to orient it correctly. Ensure the voter has access to the headphones so they can use them if desired. Log in using the election judge code provided to you by your city or school district. Explain the navigation options available to the voter. The voter may choose to use the navigation pad, the 3-button device, or the touchscreen. Let the voter know that when they've finished marking their ballot, they may retrieve it from the printer and go to the ballot counter, and to notify an election judge at any point if in need of assistance. Then step away to allow the voter to proceed. The voter will then proceed with marking their ballot. While marking their ballot, the voter has the ability to adjust a few settings on the ballot marking device. If using the navigation pad, voters will have options on the left side of the screen that allow them to adjust the font size, enable high contrast mode, and toggle the privacy screen on and off. The voter can also adjust the volume and tempo of the audio using the up and down arrows on the navigation pad. If using the touchscreen or 3-button device, the buttons to adjust volume and tempo of the audio will appear on the screen. While a voter is using the ballot marking device, keep an eye on the station and be ready to assist them as needed. When the voter has finished making all of their selections, they have an opportunity to review them and make any changes before printing their choices on their ballot. After they've reviewed their choices, the voter selects Accept and Print to mark their ballot. When the voter's ballot is marked by the printer, they can retrieve it and proceed to the ballot counter. If the voter requests assistance with this, help them retrieve their ballot and guide them to the ballot counter. For more details, please refer to the training materials provided to you by your city or school district, along with the other training videos in this series. The ballot counter station. After a voter has finished marking their ballot, they head to the ballot counter to have it counted. Only election judges, voters, and their assistant or children are allowed within 6 feet of the ballot counter on election day. The ballot counter judge monitors the operation of the ballot counter. Voters will insert their own ballot into the machine unless they request help. Inform each voter to wait at the ballot counter after inserting their ballot until the flag is displayed, which indicates that the ballot has been accepted and counted. When the voter is finished, offer them an I voted sticker. The ballot counter is programmed to read the ballot for that specific polling location, and it will also check for ballot marking errors. For example, during a partisan primary, it will check to see if a ballot was marked for candidates from more than one political party, which is not allowed for a partisan primary. If the ballot counter identifies an error, it will hold on to the ballot and provide an error message. The ballot counter judge uses this error message to explain the situation to the voter. Inform the voter that they may choose to have the ballot returned and receive a replacement ballot, or have their ballot cast as marked. If their ballot is cast as marked, any races in which there is a ballot marking error will not be counted.
Hello, you can put your pen in there, your secrecy folder right there. Slide your ballot under the black flap.
Thank you.
That was a typical ballot counter station interaction. Short and sweet. But if the ballot counter provides you with an error message, ask the voter to stay for a moment longer so that you can explain and resolve it. Some of the reasons the ballot counter may not initially accept a ballot include: a voter voted for more than the allowed number of candidates for a single office, also known as an overvote; a voter left their ballot blank; or they voted for candidates in more than one party in a partisan primary, also known as a crossover vote. While assisting the voter, remember not to look at the voter's ballot unless they request help. If they do request such help, this requires party balance. Alert your head judge so that judges of different major political parties can be assigned to the task. The voter has the option of obtaining a new ballot or having the ballot cast as is. When the voter requests to have their ballot cast as is, inform them that all valid votes will be counted, but nothing will be counted for contests with errors. Keep an especially close eye out for error messages during statewide partisan primaries, as a crossover vote will cause no votes on the partisan primary section of the ballot to be counted. In the rare situation that the ballot counter stops working, alert your head election judge. They will notify the elections office and unlock the auxiliary compartment slot located on the front of the ballot counter so that voters can deposit their ballots into a secure compartment. When the ballot counter is working again, as time permits or at the end of the day, party-balanced election judges will remove the ballots from the auxiliary compartment and insert them into the ballot counter to be counted.
Judges must monitor who is in or around the polling place. Generally, only voters are allowed to be present, even though they cannot linger once they finish voting. There are some permitted individuals besides voters who can be in or near the polling place, with the most common being media, people assisting a voter, challengers and exit pollsters. Please see your guide for a full list. Media can be inside the polling place if they show a photo ID and credentials to the head judge. Their activities are strictly limited to observation. They should not interview voters or interfere with voting in any way. Persons providing physical assistance or language support to voters may be in the polling place. Another approved individual is an appointed challenger. Political parties and nonpartisan candidates can appoint challengers to be present at a polling place and challenge voter eligibility. We'll cover the challenge process later. Finally, people conducting exit polls can be on the premises, but not in the room where voting occurs. They can only approach voters after they have finished voting and can only offer an anonymous written survey.
Some activities are not allowed in or around the polling place. There is a 100-foot boundary around the polling place in which no one, aside from election officials, voters, and exit pollsters can linger, and no campaigning or displaying of campaign materials is allowed. If the polling place is on public property, no campaigning is allowed anywhere on the property. Campaigning includes the display of campaign t-shirts, buttons, or literature, which relate to specific candidates, official political parties, or ballot questions on the ballot that day. Individuals with campaign materials such as these will need to either cover them up or remove them while in the polling place. If they refuse, the voter must still be allowed to vote, but the head judge will document this on the incident log. Additionally, no one in the polling place should discuss candidates or issues. This applies both to voters waiting in line and election judges. Generally speaking, only election judges, voters, and those assisting voters are allowed in the polling place. Though there are some exceptions. Refer to your guide for a list of these.
An election judge, any eligible voter in the precinct, or an appointed challenger may challenge a voter's eligibility if they have personal knowledge that the person is not eligible to vote. Suspicion is not basis for making a challenge. The challenger must personally know that a person is not eligible to vote for a specific reason. Political parties and nonpartisan candidates can appoint challengers to be present at a polling place and challenge voter eligibility. The challenger must show the head judge an appointment letter and prove they are a Minnesota resident. Challengers are only allowed near poll book judges. They are not allowed to view poll book display screen or to speak directly to a voter. Challengers cannot monitor all aspects of polling place operation. Their only role is to challenge a voter's eligibility based upon personal knowledge. The process starts when the challenger documents the basis of their challenge. The challenger cannot speak to the voter and should only address the election judge. The head judge may be called over to provide assistance when a voter's eligibility has been challenged. The election judge will then have the voter swear or affirm an oath, which can be found in your guide. Then, the judge will question the voter about the issue the challenger raised. Questions will differ depending upon the challenge being made. Examples may be, what is your full name? What is your residential address? Are you at least 18 years of age? Are you a citizen of the United States? If the voter's answers indicate the voter is eligible to vote in the precinct, the voter may complete their check-in, sign the certificate, and proceed to vote. If a voter refuses to answer questions, is not eligible, or refuses to sign the certificate, get the head judge to complete the process in the poll book and inform the voter that they cannot vote now or later in the day.
If a voter has feedback or a complaint, there are forms available in your polling place supplies to document these. Refer the voter to your head judge, who will work with the voter to document their feedback or complaint. After Election Day, election officials will review these and follow up as appropriate. Voters have a right to receive assistance while voting. This could include help moving through the polling place, reading materials, completing forms, or marking ballots. If a voter needs assistance with marking their ballot, they may be assisted either by 2 election judges of different major political parties, or any other person of the voter's choosing except for an agent of their employer or union. When assisting a voter, be discreet while assisting them with their registration information and vote choices. Respect their right to privacy. Curbside voting allows voters unable to enter the polling place to vote from their car. The process requires 2 election judges of different major political parties. Detailed directions for curbside voting can be found in the Election Judge Guide. Your city may provide you with a form to help track curbside voting. If your city has a form like this, follow their instructions on how to use it. Though it comes at the end of a long day, the work you perform after the polls close is vital to election transparency and integrity. Your main task after voting ends is to document the precinct's voting statistics. Attention to detail throughout the day will lead to a much smoother closing process. When 8 p.m. arrives, the head judge announces that the polls are closed. Everyone still in line at that time is entitled to vote. After all voters finish, the closing process begins. The public is allowed to enter the polling place after the last person has voted to observe. The head judge follows the closing the polls checklist and assigns closing tasks, including closing down the ballot marking device, completing forms, taking down the flag, removing signs and posters, and taking down voting booths. Supplies should be neatly repacked in each supply container. The head judge will determine and direct when all voting equipment can be closed.
Here's how to close the ballot counter. After the last person has voted, the head judge checks the auxiliary compartment for ballots. If ballots are in the compartment, they must be inserted into the ballot counter. Using the barrel key to unlock the memory stick access door, lift the door open. 2 judges verify the seal number matches the number on the official precinct certification form. 2 judges must sign the form. Press the blue lever inside the compartment and lift the printer door. Unroll the zero tape, lay it to the right, and carefully close the printer door. Press firmly to snap it closed. Press the Close Polls button located near the power button inside the memory stick access compartment. Press Close Poll on the ballot counter screen. 3 results tapes will begin printing automatically. After the tapes have printed, press Begin Modem Process to transfer the vote totals to Hennepin County. Wait for the screen to display Successfully Sent Results. Press OK to return to the closing screen. Tear off the results tapes. Press Finished, Turn Off. Allow the ballot counter to completely power down. Watch for the power button light to turn off. After the power button light turns off, cut the seal from the memory stick with a wire cutter. Remove the memory stick, put it in the Ziploc bag, and place the bag into envelope A. Close and lock the memory stick access compartment with the barrel key. Fold down the ballot counter screen and lock into place with the barrel key. Close the cover of the clamshell case and close the latches. Using the silver key, lock the front of the clamshell case. Move to the back of the ballot box. Unplug the power cord. Carefully fold up the power cord and place it into the back compartment. Close and lock the back compartment of the clamshell case using the silver key. The ballot counter is now secure. The head judge will give instructions to complete the closing procedures.
After transmitting the election results to Hennepin County and printing all results tapes, open the ballot box and remove the voted ballots. Place the voted ballots into the transfer cases provided. Complete a certificate for each transfer case used and seal the cases. After a general election, write-ins will be tallied the next day at election headquarters. It is important to place the unused ballots into the ballot box. Election headquarters will direct you about any additional items to be repacked into the ballot box. Verify all compartments and doors are locked on the ballot box.
Following the 8 p.m. close of polls and after checking in the last voter, the poll books must be synchronized one last time. When the head judge gives the OK, the poll book judges perform this action. Once the poll books are synchronized, turn off the printer before taking it apart and storing it in the green poll book case. Remove the ID tray and stylus from the back of the poll book. Your city may have you turn the poll books off before packing them into their case. To do so, hold down the power button on the left side of the iPad at the same time as the home button until the screen turns black. By pinching the green buttons, remove the stand arm from the back of the poll book and lift it out of the base. Then gently fold it in the direction that makes it most compact. Following the steps in your guide, gently place each item into its designated space in the green poll book case, including the stylus, charging cord, and charging block. The poll book can be secured with Velcro straps into the roof of the green case. Once again, verify that the numbers on the poll book case, poll book, and printer match. Follow these steps to close down the ballot marking device on election night. Turn off the ballot marking device by pressing the power button on the underside of the tablet. Gently fold up the printer's multi-purpose tray and then press the printer's power button to turn it off. Unplug the headphones. Use one of the gold keys to unlock and open the USB hub compartment. Unplug any of the devices plugged into the USB hub, then close and lock the compartment. Unplug all other cords connected to the gray case and to the printer and get them ready to pack up. Open the printer case and remove the top foam padding and any accessories inside the case. Gently place the printer inside the case so that it fits securely into the bottom foam padding. Orient the printer's power button towards the front of the case. Neatly place each of the accessories in the printer case around the outside of the printer. If your city or school district has provided another container for this purpose, put them in there instead. Place the foam padding on top of the printer so that it fits securely, then place the lid on the printer case to close it. Close the power port on the back of the gray case. Gently lay down the screen into the gray case, shut the lid, and secure both of the latches on the front of the case. Place the gray case on top of the printer case and then secure the two together with the bungee cords. Take one final look around to make sure you got everything. For more details, please refer to the training materials provided to you by your city or school district, along with the other training videos in this series.
All judges work together as a team, supporting the head judge in recording and reconciling the election statistics. Before completing the results tape on election night, the following forms must be completed: the ballot tracking form, the official precinct certification form, and the voter statistics worksheet. Compiling statistics is an important but complex procedure. Review your guide to better understand each step. 2 judges complete the election night ballot audit using the ballot tracking form. Step 1, count and record the number of sealed ballot packages. Step 2, count and record the number of unused ballots from open packages. Step 3, record the number of spoiled ballots. Step 4, record the number of duplicated ballots. Step 5, record the total number of ballots in the ballot box. Total the number of ballots by adding lines 1 through 5. 2 judges must sign this form certifying the audit has been completed. The official precinct certification form is used again during the closing process. 2 election judges verify the seals on the election equipment are intact and the numbers match the precinct certification form after the polls close. Then sign the form. To complete the voter statistics worksheet, record the number of election day registrations. Election judges will count the number of election day registrations and enter it on this line. Place the signed forms into the election day registrations envelope. B, the number of voter receipts. C, the number of persons voting from the public counter. D, the number of spoiled ballots. E, the number of duplicated ballots. Then answer the questions. Is the morning zero tape attached to the first results tape? And does the total number of voting match the total number of voter receipts?
The ballot counter prints out 3 results tapes, which also need to be filled out and completed by election judges. The head election judge will lead this process, and many of the answers to the questions on the results tapes can already be found on precinct envelopes and the voter statistics worksheet. Find the number of voter receipts on this line of the voter statistics worksheet, or on the front of the used voter receipts envelope. Find the total number of ballots cast on this line of the voter statistics worksheet, or by looking for the public count number by the top of the results tape. Use the precinct records on the poll book or look at the last page of the greeters list to find the number of persons registered at 7 a.m. The total number of Election Day registrants can be found here, or on the Election Day registration envelope. The total number of spoiled ballots can be found on the voter statistics worksheet or on the spoiled ballot envelope. The total number of duplicated ballots can be found on the duplicated ballot envelope or on the voter statistics worksheet. If there were no duplicated ballots, print 0. Add up answers A and B on the ballot tracking form to find the total number of unused ballots.
The head judge should then transfer all of the numbers from the official results tape to all additional tapes that have been printed. Each tape must be signed by the precinct election judges. The head judge, together with the precinct judges, have properly prepared the summary of election results by completing the precinct form and the result tapes for return to election headquarters.
The head judge uses the materials return checklist to prepare items for delivery to election headquarters on election night. Secure any materials not included on this list in the polling place before leaving for the night. Using one vehicle, the head judge and one other judge will bring the required items to election headquarters.
Once again, thank you for your willingness to participate as an election judge. Remember, you are the guardians of democracy. Have a great election day.
This presentation was created by a team of cities in collaboration with Hennepin County staff. Special thanks to the cities of Bloomington, Edina, and Minneapolis for developing the media included in this presentation.